Extremely dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Matthew on track towards the Florida coastline. I'm Mike Naso from the Tropical Video Update page here on YouTube with an update about 1 p.m. Eastern Time on this very, very dangerous Category 4 hurricane. You can see it there just roaring right to the north of Andros Island, clearly on track towards Grand Bahama Island over here and the Florida East Coast. A very, very ominous sign. The pressure has dropped all morning. The Air Force has been flying out there and has found that the hurricane has become a Category 4 hurricane once again, as it is bearing down there on areas of Florida and the Bahamas. This is an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. Now here's the latest advisory, and I actually have a 1 p.m. update. The center of Hurricane Matthew was at 25.5, 78.2. So that's 25.5 north, 78.2 west. And that's about 80 miles south-southeast of Freeport in the Bahamas and about 145 miles southeast of West Palm Beach. Maximum sustained winds, 140 miles an hour, a lot different than the 115 miles per hour we had just 12 hours ago. And it's still moving northwest at about 14 miles per hour. That pressure 940 millibars. And you can see the forecast track does have it impinging on the Florida coastline, severely impacting Grand Bahama Island tonight. And then by tomorrow morning, if not making a direct landfall, just grazing right along the entire spine of Florida as an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane. So this is a very, very serious situation. And again, I'm sure you've been told to evacuate if you're in those areas, and I'm sure you've been boarded up. Everybody's been taking the precautions that are needed to be taken at this time. I did want to go down a list here. We do have hurricane warnings in effect for the central Bahamas, including Long Island, Exuma, Rum Cay, San Salvador, Cat Island. We have the Northwest Bahamas, including the Abaco Islands, Andros Island, which the eye wall is currently ravaging the northern coast, the Berry Islands, Bimini, Eleuthera, Grand Bahama Island, and New Providence. And we have a hurricane warning north of Golden Beach, Florida, to Modesto Beach, South Carolina, including Lake Okeechobee. And we have a hurricane watch now north of Modesto Beach to the South Santee River in South Carolina. Of course, tropical storm warnings, the Florida Keys from the 7-mile bridge eastward, Florida Bay, Ancloak River to Suwannee River on the west coast. And this is just a very, very nasty situation. You can see it there on the visible satellite imagery. Very ominous. Look at the way the eye avoided a direct landfall. I told you earlier this morning these things like to dance around islands. And there's Nassau in the Bahamas, and there is Andros Island, and there is the eye of our extremely dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Matthew. And if it continued in that direction over the next several, say 12 to 24 hours, that would aim it directly at areas West Palm Beach over here, Cape Canaveral up here. Just a very serious situation. And you can see the outer bands of the hurricane are beginning to come ashore now on the Florida East Coast. So that's going to dampen your efforts last minute to prepare. Again, the computer model guidance is pretty straightforward and very good agreement. Just scraping or making landfall up the coast and then eventually coming back offshore and looping around, probably is a much weaker system. But right now the focus is going to be on Florida and Grand Bahama Island, the areas it's going to impact right at this time. This is the long-range Miami radar. You can see the eye wall showing up here very clearly north of Andros Island. It's now back over the Gulf Stream waters, and if it continued that track, like I said, right towards Fort Pierce, Melbourne, West Palm, very, very heavily populated areas that have not seen a very strong hurricane in a very long time. And as each one of these bands comes through, the winds are going to get stronger and stronger. You can see the wind field there with the hurricane force winds, of course, over Andros Island. This is all moving in the direction of the Florida coastline. And those hurricane force winds, even if the eye didn't make landfall, you could tell that the red hurricane force winds will still impact the coast. we are going to have storm surge. Now, this is the Hurricane Center's experimental model that they've been doing. It's a prototype, but it shows high storm surge potential anywhere where you'll have those onshore winds. And you could see from Boca Raton all the way up the coast, including these little bays and rivers along the coastline. You could have a very, very rapid water rise, to say nothing of Freeport in the Bahamas if this eye wall moves over you or very close to you, and you have an onshore flow in that direction with Category 4 hurricane. That's just the potential for very high storm surge. Again, when we talk about a Category 4, we're almost at the top of the scale, extreme damage. And with the Saffir-Simpson scale with hurricanes, Category 4, right now it's 140. It's right in the middle of Category 4. That's extreme damage. You would have roofs completely blown off, failure of walls, the total destruction of mobile homes. You could see that picture there, the top left picture, which showed mobile homes very devastated. And that was from Charlie in 2004 in Captiva and Sanibel and Punta Gorda, which, by the way, that was the last time a Category 4 hit the United States, 2004. There's the radar again looking at the eye wall just buffeting Andros Island. And again, if it stays on course, it might miss Grand Bahama Island to the south, but that's worse for areas like West Palm Beach. We're starting to nitpick because when you're dealing with a Category 4 hurricane, those Category 4 winds are surrounding the center. And so you could get hurricane force out here, but the 140 is within this eye wall. And so that's the question, where does that eye wall strike? And it's just too early to say right now. But regardless, it's such a devastating storm, you're going to want to keep tuned here. So I'm Mike Naso from the IPR studios here with the latest on this storm. And I'm going to tell you right now, stay tuned to our page. We're going to have many, many frequent updates as this monster hurricane continues to roar towards Florida. Stay tuned.